to look at this BCMR with us this morning, it's my pleasure to welcome a social commentator, Mr. Achike Chude. Good morning.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
We're expecting Mr. Kenneth Odidika, who's a legal practitioner, as well as Mr. Biodun Shoumi, who is a public affairs analyst, to join us before the end of the segment. Mr. Chude, since this thing came out, all we have heard is complaints and complaints and complaints from people out there. And one of the major reasons for complaints is another biometric registration. Why do we need another one when we've had one to get our voter's card, one for SIM card, one for driver's license, and the list just seems to go on and on and on? What are your thoughts on this?
Maybe it's just to recap what a writer, George Bertrand, said. He said when plunder has become a way of life for a group of people living in society, over the course of time, it adopts a legal system that authorizes it and a moral code that glorifies it. And that essentially is what is going on. For me, there are two kinds of plunder in this country that we have seen over time. That is the official or the legitimate one that we see through the inflation of contracts and the outright stealing that is going on across, all political divides in Nigeria. And then the other one.
You say legitimate?
Yeah, I said there's one, the illegitimate one.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that goes on in this country across all, political divide. Okay. And then the legitimate one, which is exactly what we are seeing now, which is also what we see with the consistent increase in the cost of power supply in this country without a commensurate return in terms of the electricity that we actually benefit from. You also have that in virtually every sector of the country's political economy. You just talked about the duplication of the same thing that we have seen, and with so much money going after them. The SIM card registration was not free. Billions of naira were spent in the process. You had that of the Road Safety Commission, which, yes.
We didn't have to pay for that. But this time we're going to have to pay.
More money was expended at a time. They are making overtures to the federal government and so on. So, once the government puts in the money does not belong to the government. The money belongs to the people. It's the resources of the Nigerian people. This one is much more direct, and that's why a lot of people are upset. Do not forget that when that of the road safety started, at the initial stage, they were looking at a stupendous, amount, 45,000 to about 70,000, depending on the category of vehicle. It was only as a result of the intervention of the National Assembly, the Senate, that they were able to bring it to this criminally exorbitant rate of about 26,000 naira and so on. So the people are being made to pay for the inefficiency and the corruption in the system. It's the same thing we were told over the years. Consistently, we needed to improve the pump, price of fuel in the country consistently, and of course, at the end of the day, with all the stories they told us about the need to build refineries, the need to fix refineries, and so on and so forth, we saw nothing, and that is why I am saying that it is the legitimized, it is a legitimized way of adding to the plunder of the people by elected governments. When they need money, all they need to do is to come out with a legislation, that will take away, from the hard-earned money that the people have made, and then, give it any kind of name, and it becomes legal because, the government has said so. And so this is the issue. And that, so when you ask, when people complain, it is because for so long they have been, at the receiving end of bad, dubious government policies, and this is one more that has added to the, series of unjust laws as far as I'm concerned, with regards to this.
Okay. We've since been joined by Mr. Kenneth Odidika, who is a legal practitioner. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, what are your thoughts about the BCMR?
Well, excuse me.
And the reasons given.
By the police?
Yes.
Everything we do, we always try to, because of the peculiarity of Nigerian situation, we always bring in
That's word again? Yes, yes.
Because once people hear security, they say, oh, go ahead, I know whatever I want to do. Their reasons ordinarily would sound interest and altruistic. However, what is actually happening is a situation where everybody who comes into a position tries to create an avenue to make his own money. Ultimately, that's what it boils down to. It is nice for us to have such data, but the fact is that currently, Nigerians have subjected themselves to several processes towards obtaining the same data that this BCMR is supposed to secure for the authorities. I heard Mr. Chude talk about legislation and all that. There is so much replication of responsibilities and duties in Nigeria. There are times you wonder, where does government start, where does government end? FRSC is doing most of the things that the police are also claiming to be doing. In fact, as I was being brought here now by your driver, by your vehicle, we saw, there's so many of them these days, last month. And I'm wondering, what are they doing on the road at this time, blocking the road? I thought this was environmental, the way you have Ministry of Environment and so on and so forth. So we don't even know who does which work. So we end up replicating, and as we're replicating the expenditure.
Yes.
Maybe it's because Nigerians don't really pay taxes. And they call it, because if we pay taxes, if money wasn't just petrol, money we're making from oil, Nigerians will ask more questions. This particular exercise, which I think has also already been undertaken by even Federal Safety Commission.
Identity card.
Identity card, and they call that National Identity, NIM, whatever. They have so many of these acronyms.
Yes.
You have the one from JIGA, the
voters card.
The voters card.
SIM card.
You have the SIM card. So it's all avenues of siphoning money
to get your passport.
All sorts of things. So there is actually, and how many Nigerians own vehicles? Anyway, security. Is it the car owners that do what?
That commit the crimes.
You know what they do, and to tell you how easy it is for them to get this information if they actually needed it. The moment you register a car in Lagos, you get a text message. Congratulations. The next in Lagos is sending you BOJ, Best of Judgment or Tax Assessment. So where did they get that information from? Ministry of Finance is different from all these other. So how do they get the information? That means the information is readily available if you want the information. So why must you create your own? You have to reinvent the wheel all the time
and make money out of it.
It's all about money.
3,500.
What I'm saying is all about money. It is all about money. Because if the Inspector General of Police, who I have some respect for, actually there's area commanders and all that who are extorting money from people. That's what it should clamp down on them so that they do the work they're supposed to do.